Hi, I'm Miriam, and I'm going to be talking about personal idioms, which is something that is covered in Chapter 8 of the textbook. So I wanted to start by first talking about the relationship that I want to focus on to discuss personal idioms. The relationship that I will be focusing on is the one with my younger siblings. We are all a year. There's three of us, and we are all 1 year apart. So we are very close in age, and we just grew up together and share many experiences together. Um, and so for that reason, we have many personal idioms that just come out because of how close we are, that only we understand in group, like in our little group. First, I wanted to find personal idioms. Personal idioms, as the textbook describes it, are words and phrases that have unique meaning to people in close relationship, and they break the rules of language. This is said in McCormack 2016, page 193. So I'm going to be talking about personal idioms in more detail and giving some examples. So first, I will discuss some personal idioms that I use that I share with my siblings. I'm going to explain them, and I'm going to talk about their origin. Second, I'm going to be talking about the relationship between intimacy and personal idioms, which is something that kind of go together. Third, I'm going to be talking about personal idioms and in groups and out groups, and the role in groups and out groups play in developing personal idioms. So let's start with my first point, and that is just some examples of personal idioms that I have with the relation that I chose to discuss. Me and my sisters have many idioms, and the first and most famous idiom that we have is petunia. And petunia goes to a specific sibling, a specific sister, but sometimes it goes and we call somewhat like that name rotates depending on the time and the story and the experience and things like that. So this petunia, where it came from. So we are all obsessed with Harry Potter, and one of the characters in Harry Potter is named Petunia. She is Harry Potter's aunt, and she's very, very nosy. That's her biggest description in the books, is that she's a very nosy neighbor, and she's obsessed with just eavesdropping and just knowing what's going on. And that's the perfect description of one of my sisters. She's the most nosy person to walk this earth, and she always has something, or she's listening to something or telling us something. So that name just kind of started and it stuck. And so whenever she tells a story, like, oh, Petunia, like, what did you hear this week? And it kind of just stuck, and we all get it. The second nickname that we have is also based off of a character, and that's Sherlock. Sherlock is very famous, and there's many references to it throughout various types of media. And that name was given to me. I'm the oldest, and I'm also considered a know-it-all. So my sister started saying Sherlock. So if I tell them something like, oh, okay, yeah, Sherlock said that, or what do you think, Sherlock? So it kind of just stuck with me because of my know-it-all nature in the family. So those are two names that came from characters that kind of stuck and kind of became their own in our sibling like group. The last nickname that I want to talk about is Moose, which is a very weird one. It actually came from deer, the endearing term deer. My sister was like, I hate deer, and it's just really weird. Like, why pick that animal? And then I said, okay, what animal do you want to pick? And she said moose. So she actually started calling us moose, and we were all like, no, that's not gonna stick, and it actually ended up sticking. So moose is the endearing term that we use in our house, not honey, not deer, not sweetie, it's moose. So we call each other moose, and that kind of stuck with us. So those are the personal idioms that we use in our house, in our sibling relationship. The next thing that I want to talk about is the relationship between intimacy and personal idioms. So I hope as you can see from the three idioms that I shared, they kind of came from our close relationship. If we didn't have the relationship that we had, those idioms would not stick. If we called somebody random Petunia or Sherlock, they may be offended. And so intimacy is a huge part of personal idioms. It comes to people who have a very close relationship. In the textbook, it actually mentions that people who are in happier relationships, happier couples, have more personal idioms than those that are in happy relationships. So, and that is mentioned in McCormack 2016, page 193. So if you are in a happy relationship, you are more likely to have idioms. So that just tells you that personal relationships and intimacy are directly connected to how much personal idioms you use with that person. So that's very important. And like I said, my siblings and I are very close, and that's why we have so many personal idioms. The next thing that I want to talk about is out groups and in groups. So in groups are people who are similar to you. Out groups are obviously people who are fundamentally different than you and different based on interest, affiliation, and background. In the text, it says, we feel passionately connected to our in groups, especially if they are tied to central aspects of our self concepts. So this is on page 79, again, McCormack 2016. So if you are close to somebody, they're in your in group, and again, those are the people that you're gonna want to have personal idioms with, that because you want to bring them closer to you. Personal idioms kind of break language, and it kind of creates intimacy, and that's why personal idioms are important for close relationships. Those are my thoughts on personal idioms. Thank you.